Twitter has banned political advertising on its platform, and this is a very tricky proposition. To my mind, I really can't figure out whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, because it really doesn't address the problem of political activity by itself. So Facebook makes a lot of money on political advertising. You see a lot of politicians there promoting themselves, promoting their parties before elections, and we had reports during the Indian elections where they detailed out, at least Facebook did, in terms of what kind of political advertising was done on the platform, right? And so I think at the core of this issue of whether political advertising should be banned or not banned, and both Facebook and Google and have been urged to not allow political advertising for the UK elections just coming up, where Brexit is a key issue. You have to wonder about whether political speech should have the same protection as a regular update should. What differentiates an ad from a regular update? Both of them are effectively speech. One is paid for just to increase its reach and boost its reach, and therefore that makes it different from the other, but they are all essentially speech. So the inability to be able to get your message out to more people, or the restriction on getting a message out to more people, is that an act of censorship, and should platforms be allowed to do it, is a very key question. I don't necessarily have an answer to that question, but I don't think if it was to happen in India, I don't think it solves the problem, because in India what you have is call center like operations, lots of multiple levels of followers and people who tweet or who get paid to tweet in favor of political parties. Now Twitter never sees any of that money, and I guess Twitter doesn't see much money, which is why they're cutting off political ads is not that big a deal for them. But it doesn't stop organized activity around political campaigning. And so even if, let's say, I don't think Facebook's going to ban political advertising. They're considering it because there's a lot of pressure on them to do so. But I just don't understand why it would make any sense for anyone, because there are enough people who keep supporting and sharing that information. What really is the problem is accountability in advertising, right? So if there is political advertising, is there transparency on how that is happening, what kind of ads are being done? And let's face it, platforms have a global problem. There are, just like there are billions of updates taking place on these platforms, there are billions of ads being surfaced from different parts of the world that can target people in a very granular level. And this is a problem that the advertising industry has created, because they needed to solve the problem of, there's an old saying in advertising that 50% of my ad revenues, of my ad spends, are going waste. The problem is I don't know which 50%. So by granularly collecting data about you and me and noting down exactly what the parameters are, what pages we like, which city we live in, what our friend circles like, which companies we may have worked in, Facebook allows very sharp advertising, right? In the same way, political parties, especially those in India, are creating their own database of and profiling citizens. So I think what is needed is not prevention of advertising, but in effect targeting of advertising. There needs to be a level, and I don't know how the governments will define that level, but there needs to be a level beyond which you don't target people, or there's transparency about how you're targeting people. Today, can you remove certain data points of your personality that Facebook may have tagged you as? I might be tagged as someone who likes dogs, who likes greenery, goes to hills on vacations, and is generally a liberal. Now all of these are tags that can be used to define me. I have worked in, I work in MediaNama. I have worked as a journalist the entire time, so I'm tagged as a journalist. So if there is a way of preventing tagging or reducing the impact of tagging for targeting, that's one way. But even for political party data, one of my recommendations for the Election Commission in India is that we should be able to see what data political parties have collected about us, how they process that data, because political parties are using algorithms to process data as well, and they're tagging people according to their castes, according to their economic level, and all of this segmentation allows them for better targeting or better communication. One example I'll give you is that during the infamous US elections, some African American voters in 2015-16 were essentially targeted in a manner that they did not go out and vote because they were told that you can vote on a fake website online. And so, that effectively is robbing people of their vote. So there are kinds of ads that can be prevented, there's kind of targeting that should be prevented, but I'm not sure whether prevention of advertising is going to make a difference.